All right, everybody, we are live with the Combatcast. It's a man they call Dave and Chevy, and we're going to talk some MMA action. But before we do, let's talk about our sponsor.
Yes, we'd like to thank the sponsor, Game Up. They make a thirst-quenching adult beverage with a special blend of electrolytes. It comes in 4 great flavors: fruit punch, orange, lemon lime, and grape.
That's right, and it's only 110 calories. It's low carb, so you don't have to feel guilty about enjoying Game Up. And let's talk about what we got coming up.
All right, next week, November 16th, UFC 309, Jones versus Miocic, MSG heavyweight title fight, finally.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll also be talking about Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, which I found out today that some tickets are being sold as low as $40 in the arena.
Wow.
So they may have overstretched gauging interest there. But
this is in Texas, right?
Yeah, Dallas, giant stadium.
Yeah.
But still.
I know, it's crazy. I would, I think this whole thing's a circus and a spectacle. If it wasn't on Netflix, I probably wouldn't be watching it. But man, at $40 a pop, like I would probably go see that. Like, down the road.
You're gonna have to fly to Dallas. Yeah,
I'm not gonna fly to Dallas, but to see Mike Tyson live, even though it could be a horrible thing, just to change, I would probably go for $40. Yeah.
And then November 23rd, UFC Fight Night, Yan versus Figueiredo. That's a fun matchup. That's a 6 a.m. card from China. And then November 30th, there are no fights, so Dave and I are going to review a classic fight, Hagler versus Hearns.
Yes. This is basically a 3-round war, and so if you guys want, check out that fight before we do, and anybody's welcome to talk about it because it is truly one of the classic boxing matches of all time. And we might do that from time to time, just looking back at some classic boxing matches. I actually saw a thing today where I'll have to go back. I think it was Roy Jones Jr. Fought this guy who was a cop. And this guy came in dressed as a police officer. And I wasn't a classic fight, but I was like, oh, I kind of want to just go back and look at that fight there.
Add that to the list, yeah.
Yeah, so... But, some interesting stuff coming up in the future here we'll be doing. But let's get to this past weekend's UFC show. I was busy with the wrestling side of things, doing watch-alongs this weekend and life in general. So another one I missed because, hey, this has not been appointment viewing, some of these fight nights here. But Chevy, he's the man in the field. He caught this. So before we talk about the main event and co-main event, was there any other fights you want to just mention from this show?
Well, a fight that didn't happen, Derek Lewis pulled from the card after the weigh-in due to some sort of medical issue. There's been zero information about what the problem was afterwards, so a little bit concerning. Hopefully Derek's okay. I just was thinking about his Instagram. He's okay.
Yes.
But so hopefully Derek's okay, and we see him back in the cage soon, but let's just move on straight to the co-main and main event. So, co-main event: Erin Blanchfield versus Rose Namajunas. Kind of a changing of the guard here. Erin won a decision, like I had anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
Rose is a great fighter, but I mentioned this before. It doesn't seem like she has that desire to be a fighter really anymore. She fights once a year, and I don't know, just her body language, and she doesn't want to do press really or all this stuff. So I get it. She won the belt. She has arguably a Hall of Fame career. So maybe just time to hang him up. You get your enjoyment out of training and maybe not going into the cage.
Now the fight decisions were close. According, I saw 48-47. Did you think was a close fight? What did you think of it?
It was close, but I thought that Erin won for sure. She looked much better on the feet with Rose than I thought that she would. She looked pretty quick, and then obviously her takedown, her wrestling is just too much for Rose. Rose couldn't lock up any submissions or anything like that or really get up. So Erin's still young. She's only 25 years old, which I think is crazy because she's probably one fight away from a title shot.
Sure.
Manon Farrow's got to be next, obviously. Aaron called out Alexa Grasso. Very tough fight, but you want to be the champ, you got to fight the tough fight. So that's a good call out for her.
Absolutely, and Grasso's probably not going to fight for the title again right away. So that would be the fight to make, I would say, unless you're going to give Blanchfield a title shot.
Right. Yeah, which she would have to wait for. So maybe she wants to stay active. So
yeah, good for her. All right, main event.
Yeah, main event: Brandon Moreno versus Amir Albazi. So Albazi definitely looked a bit rusty. He was out over a year with health issues. I think he had multiple surgeries. He had a heart issue. But really, Moreno put on a masterclass. He won every round with crisp striking, great distance management, and he also put a lot of pressure on Albazi. And his takedown defense was great too. So there's really nothing that Albazi could do. So it was a bummer for him, just not his night. I think he'll be back stronger for sure. I think just being off for so long was tough. Plus, he comes back and fights one of the greatest at this weight division of all time, Brandon Moreno. So Brandon won every round with 50-45. So he has such a great story, and I really hope that he can make it back to a title shot. I think he's probably got one fight, maybe two, before he can get back to a title shot. It's not a very stacked division. Yeah, not very deep. So maybe just one more. Maybe he gets a title shot right away, depending on who wins this Pantoja fight with the new Japanese guy coming in from one championship. So
yeah, anything's possible. I mean, if Pantoja gets caught or something happens, it's not like he's been such a dominant champion yet. They would look for new challengers, and that's where a guy like Moreno could just fit right in there. So.
Right. And plus Moreno's a huge fan favorite. They were chanting for him. The UFC wants a fan favorite to be champion for sure.
Yeah, he's such a likable guy.
Yeah.
So. All right, let's get into it. This week, UFC Fight Night, Magny versus Chevy. Prates?
Prates. Carlos Prates. Yep.
Carlos Prates. I will get into it, but I was looking at this guy up. And it's quite the record on him. He's a finisher. So.
Oh, yeah, he's real fun.
Yeah. But let's get into this card. Before we get to the co-main event, any fight you on your radar?
Yeah, the card as a whole is pretty good. If you're hardcore, a lot of these names. Not a lot of excellent matchups, but a lot of names you would recognize. But a few on the undercard to keep an eye out for. Luana Pinheiro versus Gillian Robertson. I've talked about this before. I'm very high on Gillian Robertson. She's one spot above Pinheiro. So I don't understand the matchmaking. I think she should be really jumping the rankings. So hopefully she can get this win and then try to get a top 5 opponent, because she's number 14 right now or something, which I think is a sin. But also on this card, very important to keep an eye out for this one. Gerald Meerschaert is fighting Reinier de Ridder, RDR, who's coming over from one championship, who was their middleweight and light heavyweight champion. He's an absolute monster that only hardcore people have heard of. Keep an eye out for him. I think this is going to be similar to Meerschaert. I mean, Meerschaert's a tough guy. He ekes out a lot of weird wins with his jiu-jitsu, but I think he's going to get fucked up in this fight. Renner's the real deal, so keep an eye out for him.
All right. You got me intrigued on that one. I had missed that. So all right. Let's get to this co-main event.
Co-main event. Our favorite here, Cody Garbrandt versus Miles Johns.
Well, so I ever tell you I met Cody Garbrandt?
Yeah. When you went to Vegas, right?
In Vegas, yeah. He promised. Oh yeah, I've told you this before. Yeah, he promised me a finish, and it was he was finishing everybody. That's the one fight that went to a decision.
Yeah.
But he won. That was against Briones, I want to say, was the opponent he was fighting, Henry Briones. Cody Garbrandt, guys, you probably know who this is, but he's 14-6, 11 KOs, no subs. He's not a sub kind of guy. 3 decisions. So I can't read my own writing here. Oh, he's won 2 out of his last 3 fights. So that's important because he was on a losing streak for a long time.
Yeah.
But I mean, he is a former UFC bantamweight champion, performance of the night twice, fight of the night 2 times against Dominic Cruz and Pedro Muniz. That Dominic Cruz performance where he won the title is probably one
the
of
best performance in the octagon of all time, probably.
Yeah,
it's either that or Conor versus Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah, it is such a good performance. It's such a high level, and it's definitely Cody's probably peak performance. I think it got him so many fans that night. But he struggled after getting knocked out by TJ a couple times, and really competitive fights where he knocked down TJ multiple times, but just got finished, and his jaw has been suspect. That being said, he's won 2 out of his last 3 fights, and he was looking all right against Figueiredo until he basically got caught and choked out. So this will be an interesting matchup for him because Mike Johns is 15-2-1, 4 KOs, 2 subs, 9 decisions, and he's had a performance tonight a couple times. So a solid matchup here. I like this matchup. I'm going to take Cody just because I feel I've liked his last several performances. Will he get a finish? I don't know. I'll say it's a decision.
Yeah, we never know what we're going to get with Cody these days, but this is a good step up for Miles Johns in competition for sure. So I think if Cody relies on his hand speed, which he still has, and his takedown defense, he should be able to get a pretty convincing win, maybe even a KO near the end of the fight. But if Johns can get him down a few times and land shots on him and slow him down a little bit, I think that Miles will grind him out. But I'm with you. I think Cody still has the sauce, so I'm going to pick him. I'm going to say he gets a decision win.
All right. Let's get to this main event.
All right. Neil Magny versus Carlos Prates.
All right. Carlos Prates, the nightmare. He's 20-6, 15 KOs, 3 subs, 2 decisions, 3-0 in the UFC right now. He came from the Contender Series. All finishes. Has only been the distance, whether it's a loss or win, 3 times out of those 26 fights. So he's a guy that does not like to go distance. He's on a 10-fight win streak right now overall, with 9 of them being finishes. So he has been on quite a tear. Neil Magny, though, he's the veteran. He's the guy that's been here for a long time. He's 29-12, 8 KOs, 4 subs, 17 decisions. Fight of the night 1 time, performance of the night 4 times. This is a big step up in a lot of ways because Magny's just been there so often. But, I mean, this looks to me like it's being a showcase fight for Carlos to see what he's got. And a main event spot here, like they want to see him perform. Judging by what he's been doing, like I'm going to favor him here. And the fact that I feel like Magny is unfortunately on that down point of his career. I won't be shocked. I mean, you never know when you see fighters in this type of situation what's going to happen because it is that step up. But I'm going to pick Carlos here, and I'll say he's going to get a 3rd round finish. TKO.
Yeah, Carlos is a big favorite. He's minus 800, which is huge in UFC. But Neil is tough to finish on the feet, and has a habit of derailing hype trains. If you think about that fight he had with Mike Malott, where he was really getting his ass kicked and then ended up just out cardioing him, ended up on top and finishing him. So if Neil can make it to round 3, I like his chances, but I don't think he's going to make it that far. I think Carlos is the real deal. He's the boogeyman right now. Nightmare is a good name for him. I think he's going to catch Neil with something on the feet in round 2. So I'm going to say round 2 KO for Prates, and then he'll be in the top 15, and I think they need to shoot him right into the top 10 after that.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens this weekend, guys. Why don't we tell people about what's coming up one more time and our sponsor?
All right, November 16th, UFC 309, Jones versus Miocic from MSG. And then Mike Tyson and Jake Paul are having a boxing match on Netflix. So we'll be watching that. And then November 23rd, UFC Fight Night, Yan versus Figueiredo. Good matchup from China, 6 a.m. card. So we'll maybe start watching that one a little bit later, keep the spoilers to a minimum. And then November 30th, no fights, but we're going to go back in time and review a classic fight, Hagler versus Hearns.
All right, guys. So some good stuff coming up here. Enjoy the fights this weekend and enjoy some Game Up.
If you haven't tried Game Up, then you are missing out. Imagine your favorite seltzer and your favorite sports drink had a baby, but it's way better than that. Each can is 110 calories, low carb, 4.9 ABV. It's a nice light drink that is not light on flavor. Game Up comes in fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape. Pick it up at drinkgameup.com.